Round two. This thing is a tremendous pain in the butt. So what I use is this thing called OBS. So I'm going to do a mic check real quick, make sure that you guys can hear me. Everything seems to be coming through pretty good. I guess the software that I use, if you manipulate it in any way and you don't reboot it, it absolutely kills it. So thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, so I'm located in Maryland. Today I'm in Maryland for the World Cup race, meaning imports versus domestics. If any of you know what imports versus domestics is the pretty much like the last hurrah of the year for a lot of people, aside from the No Mercy and, badass, 8th mile guys. Why am I in Maryland at this race? Because Lund Racing wants to take the Blue Goose at 3,600 pounds and see if we can reset our current 6R80 record and stock computer record of 767. Track conditions are going to be badass. The weather, the track prep is going to be badass. So John Lunds was like, why not enter the Street Fighter class with a 3,600 pound car, see if we can get after it. But before I get into the World Cup shit too much, everyone wants to talk about the stupid GT500 quarter mile time. Look, I'm a fan. I'm a GT500 fan. But everyone and their mom wants me to talk about the GT500 running 10.61 at 130 plus mile an hour. Okay, let's take those numbers into account and compare it to other cars that have similar power. So the new GT500 weighing 4,200 pounds, TVS, DCT trans, went 10.6 at 130 something mile an hour in Bradenton, Florida. So is that impressive? Yep, it's impressive. Very impressive, especially at exactly, thank you, Chess Fordham, exactly what I was about to say, and about the same as a Demon. Demons run that number all day, every day with their basic bitch tune. Now, the Demons can't stop like a GT500. Okay, John. John said he's coming up. So John's going to be in this room shortly. Hopefully the sound works out, but he went to grab an old fashioned at the bar. So the GT500s will stop, turn, road course, and quarter mile, a triathlete. In America, we don't give a shit. I give a shit. I want a daily that does it all. I want a daily that quarter miles, stops, cruises, does it all. All right, this car is a great car for someone like me. Am I going to buy it? No. If I could afford it, would I buy it? If I can afford a GT500, I can afford a ZR1. I would probably get a ZR1 before a GT500 if I wasn't brand loyal. Everyone's like, 9's on a kill tune. No, not necessarily. Why? The transmission. Did you guys hear that pass real carefully? Did you hear the pass? It was on stock tires. It was on launch control. And did you hear how it purposely slipped the clutch? Because it is a clutch. How it purposely slipped the clutch all the way down the track. It went, and then did you hear the shifts? Did you hear the shifts? For a DCT, it should go, no, it went, and I went, wait a minute. This DCT should pa-pow, 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 just boom, boom, boom. Why didn't it do that on this pass? Does Ford know something we don't about this transmission? Absolutely. I think Ford knows that if you shift this transmission hard, it will break. It will break. If you take off all the torque reduction and shift it, like you hear the sound clips, because look, the big thing about DCT was how fast it shifts. Ha-pa, 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 right? And this thing went, whoa, a lot of torque reduction, a lot of, exactly, it sounded like a 6R80 shifting. What does that tell me? It tells me that in drag mode, I think Ford softened the shifts. And when it's not on a sticky track, it can get away with firmer shifting because the tires will spin and the fuse are the tires. And a sticky track, if that sucker actually shifts as fast as Ford says it does, you're going to have to be calling Shep Trans for a $20,000 DCT upgrade, just like GTRs. GTRs have a ton of spark cut. If you hear GTR shift, it kind of burbles in between the shifts, similar to like a automatic Chevy. You hear a lot of spark cut, like it shuts throttle, makes the shift, spark is cut, throttle is opened. So that's why it sounded that way. I went, I wonder if those shifts with a tune, if you actually start slamming the shifts, what will happen to the trans? Now, Michael N says, yeah, this car's made for road course, not line speed, but it will do the job. Okay, Michael N, in America, if it doesn't drag race good, it doesn't matter. Do you know why the Challenger beat the Mustang in third quarter sales this year? I think it was this year or last year. I forget. This year. The Challenger beat the Mustang in third quarter sales. Why? Because it's a pretty good looking car. It's going to get after it. It's going to get after it with a Hellcat or a Demon. It's going to run 10.6. It's going to be bigger, comfortable. Now, I'm not dogging the fucking GT500, guys. Understand that. I'm a big fan. I'm just not a fanboy. Okay, it's just not a fanboy. The Dickman says, Alex, what's your favorite sex position in a Mustang? Front seat all the way forward, girl on her back, and me basically outside of the car slinging it. So anyway, back onto the Mustang. The car needs to drag race well for high 700 horsepower, but it's not gonna. And what's gonna happen? People are gonna they're literally gonna drag race this car only. How many GT500 owners do you know of that can actually race the car on a road course? Can actually race the car on a road course? I know maybe 4, right? 4. And then the rest are GT350 owners that still can't road course the car. So what's going to happen when they get their hands on a DCT-equipped 700 horse car, which makes about 680 wheel, and throws it into a corner, and the brakes get hot as fuck because it's 4,200 pounds. The tires wear out in 3 laps, and you're like, you know what? I'm going to drag race this car. And then it doesn't go any quicker than a Demon. That's the trouble we're going to have. So a lot of the fanboys out there listen to an article writer, and I love how you could tell they're paid to talk positively about Mustangs. They're never going to Ford will never let me drive a vehicle, pre-production vehicle. I know this. And I don't want to be like, I'm the most honest guy on the internet. No, but I'm actually pretty honest. Hold on, John's here. Be back. Did you get an old-fashioned? Or is that a Coke? I don't know. Pull up a chair. I didn't know a real chair. There's John, everybody. He's back there hanging out. We just came from grabbing dinner. But anyway, every single time you hear someone that gets given access to a pre-production vehicle, the reviews are overly positive. They're just like insanely positive. They never say, well, I wish it did this better. I wish it did that better. Someone like John and me, if we got into that GT500, we'd be like, how come it doesn't shift any faster? It kind of it's lazy on the shifts. So we're just like, what the hell's going on? The Dickman, John, asks, what's your favorite sex position in a Mustang? John is a married man. How dare you? And Tony Bolton says, I'm a former SCCA class champ. Just saying. That tells you how shitty SCCA is, that Tony Full Bolton can get on a track and think he can actually win something. That blows my mind. And he put a blower on it. So he's an SCC guy that road races and put a blower on it. So he gets about 2 laps out of that Pro Charger before it chucks the snout of the crank. Gosh. So basically, I think it was a very good time for a 4,200 pound car. The other issue I have with everyone's coverage on the GT500 is this. They say things as if they knew what is in John Carroll's head. Oh, John Carroll would have been proud of this car. Senior, how many cars, I know you're probably not going to be able to hear me that well, but how many cars did John Carroll build that were 4,800 pounds or 4,200 pounds? Did John Carroll build anything over 3,500 pounds?
No.
Right. And what was his most famous car that he ever had or ever built? Besides the KRs and all that stuff. Not the AC Cobra, the 428, is it?
You're talking...
Sorry, Carroll Shelby. I keep saying John Carroll. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Carroll
okay,
Shelby.
so
I'm sorry.
Totally
I'm sorry. I keep saying John Carroll, Carroll Shelby. I'm all fucked up.
There's a John Carroll.
There is a John. You know, right? There is a John Carroll. Okay, Carroll Shelby. What is the heaviest car Carroll Shelby ever built?
Probably a 69 GT500 GT500 KR.
Okay.
That's probably the heaviest Shelby built. 428 Super Cobra jet.
Right.
You could get them with a C6 automatic, which made them
You could get a C6 automatic?
You could, yeah. Maybe not in a KR, but you could get a GT500 with a C6 automatic in it. And they're heavy.
So what about, what is the car he's most known for? Carroll Shelby.
Cobra 426.
And what did they weigh?
22,
right.
400 pounds, or go-karts on steroids.
Exactly. That's the car he was most known for, and the car that he beat Ferrari
with.
with.
A rear tire that was like 14 inches wide.
So for people to say, sorry, I kept saying John Carroll for some reason, I don't know why, but for people to say that Carroll Shelby would have been proud of this car, you're smoking that big fat joint because it's 4,200 pounds. So don't say shit like that when you don't know what the hell's in that guy's head, when his most popular car was a tiny little go-kart with a huge engine that could have killed you, plain and simple. Root Beer says, 9 out of 10 chick with a huge zit on her snatch, or a 5 out of 10 chick with a great rear end? Oh, gosh, if I can know what the zit is, can you tell me what the zit is? I'd have to know what the zit is. We'd have to biopsy the zit. But I'm leaning towards the 9 out of 10 with the zit. New here, love the channel. All stock manual 16 GT Autobox Stage 1 kit or VMP Gen 3 kit. Both are 2650s, so it really all depends on what you want to do with the car. I think the VMP Gen 3 kit is more of a full max effort kit when you can get a Gen 2 or a Gen 2R or even a Roush 2.3 blower and make up to 800. The Edelbrock Stage 1 kit is catered for, not big boy power. So I think you're good with either. I personally run the Edelbrock kit and I'm very happy with it. Someone says, do the rest of their show in your UK voice. No, the UK guys will get mad. And Tango gave me $5 for no reason. Thank you very much. So let me get back up here. So for people to say Carroll Shelby would have been proud of this car, I don't know. I mean, would he, a 10.6 car that makes 770 something horsepower at 131, 132? What was it? Do you remember, John? The mile an hour?
133. I thought it did.
133. Now, why did it? Now, the other thing I take issue with is people saying that it took driver expertise. Like, wow, that guy really drove that car. Guys, it is a DCT. It's basically an automatic car that has launch control. Where's the talent there? Like, where's the talent? It is an automatic car, basically. It's a 6R80 equipped car. I think it went that quick because the person driving it was kind of small, right? So I think I can go quicker in that if I train Coco the chimp to let go of the button and smash the gas. It'd probably be a 1050 car, a 1040 car. So stop saying driver had anything to do with that car going fast when it is automatic. Stop it. A lot of people are saying they're keep the 14 GT500. Look, we're gonna buy one, right, John? Did we buy one or we're gonna buy one? We're buying one. It's built. Do you have a VIN?
We're waiting on
You have a VIN?
We have the dealership. We've got money. We just don't have a car.
So we're still waiting for that car to show up. Now, why are they delaying? Why do we think they're delaying the car? Why hasn't it been delivered? Do you have any? You want to sit over here? Get over here. I don't know. Somehow get your ass over there or something. I need you on camera, man. I need you contributing.
I'm thinking it's probably transmission related.
Trans-related?
Yeah, I think so.
So did you hear the pass?
Yeah, I heard the pass.
What'd you think about the launch, number one, and then the shifts?
Lazy.
Right. Why would a DCT be lazy like that?
There's a lot of torque reduction going on. There's a lot of delay going on.
In drag mode, they're reducing the torque that much to get it, because you heard the bop, 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 bop,
Right.
bop, and you let go.
And we heard from a few reliable sources that the cars were hot, very hot, so they may have purposely sandbagged the car, to delay it, because it sounded super lazy.
Bull.
Right.
And I was like,
Right.
I either thought it would chatter the tires at least. It didn't
Right.
even do that. It didn't even
No.
chatter the tires. So a ton of torque reduction,
Right.
wearing on the clutch, because it's a
Right.
clutch.
Right.
And then the shifts were lazy. If you would see on a log, they'd be like an N.
Right.
It's like, yeah.
And I don't know how many people know that there's a PCM and a TCM.
A transmission control module.
Correct. What else has a transmission control module that Ford makes?
Raptor?
Raptor early
Really?
on 17 and
Shit, I don't know.
Ford GT
The new
17,
one.
18, 19.
Oh.
What does no one have access to this day?
TCM for
A
4GT?
TCM for a 4GT.
But they have access to the engine side of things.
They do.
So do you think it'll be similar with the GT500?
It's going to be similar, yeah.
Do you think it's the same trans? A Tremec 6
It's a similar, it's a 7-speed in the GT500.
And it's a 6 in the GT? Or an 8?
I think it's a 7 or an 8. But
so that's going to be hard to crack that?
I think it's going to be hard to crack.
Does Ford say, fuck you, we don't want you to blow it up, we'll never get it?
I think we'll probably never get it. We have files. There's files that are attainable, but they're locked up. They're encrypted.
Yeah, it's. Are you excited after seeing that you think we can get a 9 out of it, or do you think we got to get into the TCM to really make it sing?
I think everybody's going to be limited at first until the TCM's cracked. So you can throw a pulley on it, you can throw timing at it, you can throw race gas in it, you can throw some drag radials on it. You may be able to do some suspension things, loosen the sway bar, disconnect the sway bars. True. You know, all those things we do on the S550, 15 plus to make this car work are going to work on this car.
Right. Maybe
take some weight out, and you're going to see guys clipping off some 990s, 980s fairly quick.
Are we going to be the first to break the trans?
Could be.
I mean, we're going to go out immediately. We're going to race it immediately.
But the first thing that people are going to want is, I want my shift points raised. I want torque reduction shut off in the trans.
SOL.
Don't have access.
Right. No access. So you heard it there. You know? If we don't have any access to what's actually going on in the computer, especially on the transmission side of things, all that stuff's going to be delayed. So people got to get cracking on cracking it. Real quick, Tango says, took your advice and jumped on a 19 GT. No more 435i. I'll be contacting you guys for a flex tune. Latest and greatest and fast. Badass. Someone says we need an S550 aluminum body. Okay, actually, you can monitor the questions there. If you want to jump in, just feel free to jump in anytime. Okay, so.
John's wife is lucky.
John's wife is lucky?
John is lucky.
Oh, there you go. Someone says John has a cute face. The GT500 is a double clutch setup. No shit, Steve will. John Lund will have it in the 9s first. If anyone's going to have it in the 9s first, it'll probably be us or any other tuner. And like he said, the limited access to the TCM transmission control module is going to be the deciding factor. I think so. Let me keep this in this guy takes it like around, and if this guy just takes it in the front. So if you wanted to just talk.
I mean, do some of the math. 1061 on a 177 60 foot, right? So if somebody out of the hole here can get a 150 60 out of the car with just a tire on it, with just a good drag radial.
Because it was a 1.760 foot car. Yeah.
So say you get a 150. You know, 3.5 tenths right off the bat, you're going to be 1030s in this car before you even do any tuning.
Yeah, that's pretty badass. But look, if you're a guy that's not brand loyal, you just want a fast V8. What are you buying today for $70,000 to $80,000 today? GT500 available, ZR1 available, Demon available, Hellcat Red Eye, and you drove a lot of those cars last week.
Yeah.
What would you buy? What would you buy today if you had knowing what you know now, not brand loyal? To go as fast as possible with the minimal amount of tuning as possible, because you know not everyone's going to tune these cars.
From my experience, even from recent experience, it would have a GT and a 350 after.
So John recently went to a sort of not a well-known event, right?
Not a well-known event.
You want to talk about it a little bit?
Sure. There's a place, a lot of places in southwest Texas, unknown. Out in the middle of nowhere, there's a company called The Stable. It's in Alpine, Texas. Pretty remote. Dave Durant owns and runs The Stable, and it is a performance shop, but it's centered around several wealthy guys, a lot of wealthy guys that like to go fast in discreet places, and this is the place to do it. It's out in the middle of nowhere, a lot of straightaways, a lot of really beautiful area, but it's very remote. And it can get down clear to the border, down to Presidio, which is on the border of Texas, Mexico.
Okay.
So not a lot of access to get to it. The closest big airport to fly into is Midland, Odessa, Texas, and then you got to drive 2.5 hours just to get down there. Roll into this place in the middle of nowhere, and there are right off the bat, 6 Vipers,
Newer Gen 5s?
newer Gen 5s, 2 or 3 older Ford GTs, Terralinguas, which are a rare car in and of itself, but 16, 17 Terralinguas that are Whipple with a lot of Shelby suspension mods, brake mods, everything done to them. A lot of decals. Tons and tons of GT350s just in the middle of nowhere. And basically, it's an opportunity. A couple of Demons rolled in, or a couple of Red Eyes rolled in. An opportunity to trade keys and drive
my shit, drive
whatever
your shit.
you want.
Right. And out of everything that was there, what were you driving primarily?
Our primary car was a car that we modified up in Pennsylvania. Really a good close friend and customer named Pat Spina. We had an opportunity to take a 16 GT350 and put a Whipple on it, a Gen 3 Whipple. Unfortunately, I made the mistake of the kit coming off of, partial of the kit came off of Dakota's Boss before it went fluid twin turbo, and it had a 20% 10 rib lower. So when you put a 20% lower on a Coyote and it's a Gen 3 blower, you got to put like a 6-inch upper pulley on the thing to put it back down to, 8-9 pounds of boost. We ended up putting a 4-inch on it that would, down at sea level, would still make probably 11-12 pounds of boost.
And that's all you need on a GT350.
Yeah, the car made 822 in Pennsylvania with ease, without any problem at all.
Like MS or
93 with basic, 93 with a can octane.
I thought that car was on MS 109 for some reason.
It was on MS 109 down in Alpine, but up in our place.
When I drove it, it was on pump gas and octane booster?
Pump gas and octane booster.
That thing was wild.
Yeah, it was wild.
That thing was nasty. So, when you drove it down there and you raced a bunch of guys...
Yeah, it's not like a free-for-all street racing event. There's a lot of cruises and there's a lot of beautiful places to stop, but there's a lot of opportunities where you're cruising, sustained cruising in excess of 120, 130 mile an hour.
Sounds like 95 in Miami.
Yeah, exactly. And there was one area we did 55 miles in 21 minutes.
Oh, wow. So you're...
With a lot of corners, a lot of up and down hills. So there's a lot of straightaways in this area where you're burying it. There's some opportunities where there's dual lanes, so you can line up accordingly against a couple cars.
Okay.
And this GT350, because we're at a high density altitude, some days 7,000 plus, it would lose 3 or 4 pounds of boost. So I pulleyed down to a 3.5 and ran MS 109 in it. And this car was untouchable.
ZR1s, Vipers.
Bring it. Anything.
What was the closest race? We talked about it the other day. Not the closest, but the only car that felt close to what the GT350 had in terms of speed.
Was a Ford GT.
Right. What was done to that Ford GT?
That Ford GT was also the same owner, owns 4 or 5 of these cars.
What a life.
That owner bought a Ford GT from a Texas Mile guy that used to do, or still does some work with Van Coyer through Lund Racing, JW Brake. He sold this car to this individual, and he sent it up to us and had, we wanted more power, so we put a 4.5 liter Whipple.
Okay, it's a little guy.
With a 4.5 inch upper pulley, just to slow the blower down so it's not 22 pounds of boost up
and that's the one, if you guys don't know which one I'm talking about, it was the red one on my Instagram page with the nice beautiful wheels. It was gorgeous.
HRE wheels. It's had a few modifications done, oil cooler, a few things. There's a fairly elite group of those cars, and they're very limited, so they can do some special upgrades for the high speed stuff. It had L&M drop-in cams.
That thing did chop real nice.
Same cams that are in my own 14 Shelby.
Okay.
A clutch upgrade, and a search for headers, because the boreless systems that used to be out there are not attainable anymore. The only headers we could find were JBA headers, and then a custom short pipe.
That was wild looking. It kind of crossed.
Crisscross X pipe with straight pipes. Literally, it's open-headed car.
Right. So that car was the only one that felt comparable to the GT350 with a Whipple.
Correct.
That's crazy. And what year is that Ford GT? 06?
2005. 05. It's an 05. So 14-year-old EEC5 glorified 03 Cobra
it's just
PCM in
a
it.
race car, basically.
Basically.
And he says that Ford, the GT350 was right there gapping people. People were just, he said nothing really came close to that car. So Senior's telling you that if he had the money, knowing what he knows now, he would buy a GT350 with a Whipple, 19 GT350 with a Whipple.
Yeah, get those extra parts. Maybe a 2020 GT350. Wait for the prices to drop.
Yeah, let the GT500s come out. Yeah, they will.
Yeah.
When the 500s come out, wait for the prices to drop a little bit, and you'll have a boost-ready car. They throw a Whipple on it, clutch, trans upgrade. I know that sounds like crazy stuff, but it's done after that. It's done. It's done. It's 850, 900.
This car, we put 400 miles on this car, and I was not... I beat the crap out of this car.
I wish there was
It wasn't my car.
Right.
So...
Okay.
And I had the owner there, and I took the owner out, and drove in it, and then rode with the owner. And he owns several GT350s, an older one and this one, and it did very well. Comparing it to a recent GT350 that you drove, which was the Randall's twin turbo, much lower boost, but Randall's car is comparable to this car with a lot less boost because it's more efficient boost with twin turbos.
You think it would have done well down there?
It would have done well because the boost controller... bump and easily boost. You know, sit there and wrench pulleys and whatnot. There was another car that did well. Was a 19 GT with a Gen 5 setup on it from Oklahoma. Billy Sprouse was his name, and we lowered the pulley on that because he lost 3 or 4. He was running around with 7 pounds of boost, so we bumped him up to about 10 pounds. Never really had an opportunity to line up with it, but the car was doing well. Yeah, he did a couple of high-speed runs, broke 185, 186. We did the speed mod. I cracked 190 and one time in the yellow GT350.
But the Ford GT...
The owner wanted to see it crack 200, so my bucket list, I've always wanted to go over 200 in a Ford GT. So
yeah, I heard it sounded crazy at full song.
It was full song
and had a flame coming out the back.
Yeah, 14, 15 pounds of boost. It was playing around.
Oh my god!
And I lifted at 202, and it was still, it would have easily done 215, 220.
Good thing there's not video of this because people would.
No.
It's almost like you'd rather there wouldn't be video because then people know about it. It becomes a whole thing.
It's not sanctioned. It's not. Yeah. There's some video floating around of the cars, but none of the the street stuff. And there's a lot of border patrol running around down there, so
they leave you alone. They know what you're doing, though. I mean, they're like they hear it. I'm sure they hear it from miles away.
Oh, they hear it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they hear it.
Very good. So basically, John is telling you that with what he knows now, he would still kind of go for GT with a Whipple or GT350 with a Whipple. So I really like the fact that the GT500 ran well into the 10s comfortably. It should have, and it's going to do everything well. It's going to corner well, stop well, accelerate well. It's also going to wear those tires really well. It's going to wear those brakes really well. It's going to wear the transmission really well once you really start putting some screws to it. So let me get to some of the paid questions before you guys start yelling at me. Andres Osorio says, 11 Coyote with a 6-speed, 373 gears, rear end clunking, coming out of a stop, starting to get louder. Have you ever had this issue in your old car? I never had that issue in my old car, but you got to start looking at how many miles and how beat this car is. Look at your control arms. Make sure nothing's loose back there. Make sure that your shocks are tight, your sway bar's tight, your drive shaft isn't loose. And if all that is good, it's internal to the rear end. Start looking at the gears. Make sure there's no slack in there and take a peek before you really grenade it. Question for Senior. What's your favorite NSYNC song of all time? Ethan Kurtz asked. What's your favorite NSYNC song? NSYNC is not Backstreet Boys, with Justin Timberlake. When they had the gay guy, the gay blonde guy, the balding other guy. No, that's.
I probably have one of their favorite songs, but I don't. I just kind of get cool music and jam on.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, he likes Old Town Road.
Yeah.
He's good with that.
Yeah.
Someone said stock power limit of an A10. I would say stock, right? Like stock power limit of an A10, stock. Yeah, stock. Stock. Because even if you upgrade the clutches, right? Your limit, it'll be better, but you can't make sustained 800-900 wheel for a long time. No, the clutches are just gonna eventually wear. So it's not like bulletproof. It's not 6R80 yet. It will be eventually.
I think it will be. I think as more parts break.
Yeah, people will improve on it.
Yeah,
longevity.
Gomez has done a lot of R&D on how to to set the clutch packs up. He's got different steels going, different thicknesses, trying to get different amounts of clutch, different material.
Okay.
Yeah, because he still has my 10R80. He still has it. I need it. Hello.
Hey, Manuel, get his transmission done. And Ben Calamer, if you're watching, the manual needs to get back here. The 18 manual trans, get it back
here.
here.
MT82.
Yeah, that's true. We're going to have to talk to you, Ben.
Yeah, we'll talk then.
Excellent. So someone said, Miss Trot R says, hey, Alex, C6 Z06 or GT350 for a track daily car? 350, based on the fact that you could throw a Whipple on it and it's going to make all the jam. C6 Z06 is badass if it doesn't drop a valve. Demon Gall says 1550 on E85R tune from you, not a daily anymore. More of a fun weather car. Which form of boost or brand would you go with? Would you recommend while sticking with the 85? Which form of boost? So I'm a TVS guy, but everyone else at Lund Racing are turbo people, except Senior with his GT500. He's also a TVS guy. If you want instant power, ease of use, and less maintenance, any positive displacement blower is going to do, whether it's an Edelbrock, whether it's a Whipple, whether it's a TVS, whether it's a Roush unit or a VMP. Most power potential is going to be turbo. It's just going to have a little more maintenance. That's all. Ruslan Z says, hi, took supercharger pipe off, put my PMAS and runned great. And wrench light is off. Maybe something is wrong with the supercharger piping. Thank you. If you were having lean codes, right? If you have lean codes and you were having like a vacuum leak or something, yes, if you took it off, reinstalled it, and then took care of the kink that might have been in the tube or maybe unmetered air getting through the pipe, yes, maybe it will just, the long trims will learn the value again and not throw a wrench light based on, short-term fuel trims. Gosh, Tony full bolt on just saying dumb shit. Someone said Kenny Bell or Edelbrock. So I only recommend Edelbrock, VMP, or Roush blowers, or Whipple. That's what I recommend. The other one, I'm not going to recommend it. What would it take to run 10s in a Gen 1 Coyote S197? Well, I've already covered this in a video. I actually made a video as to which Coyote is better to do what with. Go look in my videos and you'll see. And I think an S197 with a tire, cams, Cobra Jet setup, 373s, and a slick is pretty damn close to a 10-second car with a little bit of weight reduction. Plain and simple. So just to talk real quick about World Cup, the reason we're in Maryland, some people are asking, where are you? We're at Maryland International Raceway. We're going to be Maryland International Raceway all week. Tomorrow, we're going to try to test on the Blue Goose. And the Blue Goose is going to see if it breaks its own record of 767. I was like 10.
Tens.
Shit. Yeah, 7.
Tens.
It went 767 at 180 something.
183.5.
And we want to see if we can beat that. Now, what did we change from the last time we saw the Blue Goose at the track to now? What's different?
So the big thing that's changed in the vehicle is fuel. We changed fuel. We were running Q16,
Okay.
ID 1700s, and a 4 triple hat with 3 285 pumps.
Okay.
We were fuel critical last year at Mod Nats. That's why we switched and we did a mix of ethanol and Q, or an ethanol and C16, and we said, hey, Q16's got some better quality to it and it's oxygenated. Let's just switch to that.
Okay.
It runs great. It's great fuel, but it runs hot. Your cylinder pressures run a little bit hotter than, lot hotter than ethanol. So we really wanted to get back to ethanol to try to cool the car off a little bit.
Okay.
And we've, no beans about it, have exceeded the cooling system on the car. The car's making nearly 1,700 at the crank. So any car, any vehicle, doesn't matter. It's gonna, you try to run a stock cooling system, you're gonna exceed it. So we've, I devised some cooling upgrades, primarily deleting the thermostat, talking with Scott Boda down at Stita on some of the mods he's done, and added an auxiliary electric water pump, and that has exceeded my expectations in lowering the coolant temp about 40 degrees. Consistent,
Wow.
holding it down in the 170 range. Haven't made a pass with it yet, but on the dyno and some 4 or 5 second pulls on the dyno, it was indicating it was going to be down quite a bit.
Right.
Putting ethanol in the car, we first needed a bigger injector, so we switched over to ID2000s because we had a set there. Wanted the ID2600s, but didn't get them in time. Have a set.
We have them. We
yeah.
have the
Oh, yeah,
27.
we have a set. Yeah. Already played with them and poked at them and everything else. So we'll do some testing with those after we get through the last couple races of the year.
Right.
We think 285 pumps is enough with ethanol, but I won't go into detail on what I've done in the fuel system, but bottom line, we've upgraded some things in the fuel system to complement the extra injector.
Okay.
And switched over to ethanol 1.
Which is like the new hot fuel everyone's running.
It's new hot fuel. I know Brett LaSalla ran it all through
Drag week.
Love the fuel. The big change from an ID 1300, ID 1700 is, without knowing all the particulars, but they have stainless steel innards in them, so they don't coke up as.
The 1700s have stainless steel innards. Okay.
But the ID 2000s do not. They're a little bit older design injector.
Okay.
And if you leave ethanol sitting in them over time, they'll stick,
gum up.
open or close, one or the other.
Right.
Both
we
is
hope
bad.
closed.
Yeah,
well,
you hope closed.
not a watt.
Right.
Gotcha.
So he ran ID 2000s, and now he's a standalone running AEM, but still the same fuel, and the injector's going to react the same way, and he had great success. So we got a couple barrels of that, switched over to it. It's 100. They make 2 S and R version, and we have, I think, the race version of ethanol 1, 117 octane, and car responded favorably.
Excellent. So what's our goal? Basically, let's say, for instance, if you run a number that's ridiculous, would you just put it on the trailer, or are we going to try to run out the event if we're doing well in Street Fighter?
Okay, so...
Because Street Fighter, real quick, guys, Street Fighter, there's some high 6-second, low 7-second cars in Street Fighter. Like, badass shit.
There's some badass stuff in Street Fighter.
Right.
I would like to get down into the mid 750s with the car. I'd like to
755.
shed about a 10, 7.5, 7.55, somewhere in there. The guy tuning the car, Junior, and the setup of the car, literally all the suspension dynamics of the car and the boost controller is John Junior, my son. I drive it. I don't tune it. I don't set those things up. He tells me what to set them at.
100% Junior's deal.
Yeah. Okay. I get in, I strap in, I put ice in the car, I put fuel in the car, and I do a burnout, and I attempt to do a good launch and try to cut a light. A lot of people think I'm slow on the tree, but I've been drag racing longer than most of you have been alive.
Right. Not me.
And,
I'm pretty
not
old.
you. You're pretty old. You're pretty old. But, reaction time and things like that I've improved on. So I think you're going to see some favorable results from that.
Yeah.
I don't want to beat the crap out of the car here. If it does well and stays together on a couple passes, then we're in a heavy competition field of 32 cars. I'm probably going to get my ass kicked.
Or not. Let's say, like according to Keith, who's here, he said if you just last and you're consistent, let's say that car just for whatever reason runs a 50 each freaking time, and everyone else is running a 7.0, 8.9, but you're like 7.57. It could work out. It could work out,
Our race, though, end of the year race is Mod Nats because we're a sponsor on that race, and I'd like to go down and I got runner up last year in 6R80. I would like to win that class.
Yeah, win the one
and
sponsor,
just break it off in everybody's ass down there.
Because all the guy that beat you went glide, and his whole team went glide. Yeah. So
great bunch of guys.
No, love them.
And
great
love those guys.
No issue. Yeah. But they all went glide. They all are running quicker. They're in a different level, different area. They're not 6R80, 10R80 anymore. So the point is to win the class that we sponsor. That's the goal.
That'd be nice, yeah.
And do you have a secondary goal? Like run a 40, or you're like, I don't think it's got it in it, and depending on what
I don't think it's got it in it, but a lot of people think it does.
Even Keith is saying it does, and he says let's throw the motor in it.
We did a 760 pretty easily at 183 at 2200 DA. It was 92 degrees. The car ran amazing. The back half of the car is insane. We've got a little bit bigger turbo than the 6466 with 6870s.
Okay.
And it likes it. It's set up. We're going to try a different tire, a little bit bigger tire.
315.
315. It's a little bit taller, a little bit wider.
If you don't rub, we'll
If
just
it doesn't rub, we're going to keep them on. If it rubs, then we'll put the 305s back on.
Because we came ready just in case that happened. All right, very cool. So the
Yeah.
plan is 750s or mid 750s, and if we go rounds, we go rounds. But the goal is mid 750s this weekend. Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you. So, back on some shit talking with the GT500 stuff. And let me get the paid questions so you guys don't get all snippy. Because you guys get all snippy if I like miss a question for like 5 seconds. Jamie says, I'd like to hear John's thoughts on the ZL1, stock or modified. Thanks. Yeah, he said sell it. There you go. Done. 2 words. AC turns on by itself. 17, non-premium. Something going on with the switch that makes it turn on, I guess. Is there an adapter for the Edelbrock 2650? Look, I'm going to try to be better about this question. If the AC is turning on by itself, it's not the tune. Okay? So we do not tune the AC to come on, right, or off. But we have access, I think, by pedal position, whether it can stay on or off or some dumb shit like that.
Yeah, if your AC's kicking on, you simply have a switch issue or a short.
Right.
It means your switch is turning on when you're not.
Right, there's a switch issue. It's not a tune. So it's not a tune issue is what we're telling you. Is there an adapter for the Edelbrock 2650 supercharger for Gen 1 13 Coyote? As far as I know, I do not know that Edelbrock makes that. But I think the bolt pattern's the same from a Gen 1 to a Gen 2 throttle body, right? So if you get let's say a Stage 1 or a tuner kit, you should be able to put the stock throttle body in it so that tuning is easy, and put the 103, 120 cold air in it, and it should work as long as the bracketry works and all the tubing and everything. If you can get all the hardware to work, I think the stock throttle body will bolt up because a stock Gen 2 throttle body bolts up. So I don't think that's going to be an issue. Big fan of your posts, Alex, says Fernando Luna. Do you have an idea what it takes to put down 400, 420 in a 15 to 17 F-150? Ooh, you're going to have to treat it like a Mustang at that point, right? We're talking manifold. We're talking potentially cams and fuel. So E85, some headers. You're going to treat it like a Mustang. E85 headers, a cold air, manifold. It might make it with the stock cams, but I can't guarantee it. But E85, a manifold, like an 18 Mustang manifold, rev it up there, and it should make close to that, but I can't guarantee it's going to make 4 to 420 with the stock manifold, stock cam, stock cold air, obviously. So treat it like a Mustang. Cold air, manifold, E85, and some badass tuning from Lund Racing. There you go. Possible to make 700 rear horsepower E85 Edelbrock 2300 blower? Ooh, yes. Okay, I think so. When I used to work at my last job, BMP, we made 650 rear horsepower on pump gas through a 2300 with a stock cold air. So with the 85 and more timing, I'm pretty confident you can make 700 wheel on a 2300 E-Force. 2018 F-150, so SD, speed density. Are -20 to -15% fuel trims okay at watt? I noticed the trims are different between commanded lambda and watt lambda. I want to understand the logic. Okay, if you want to understand the logic, you need to actually get some certain files that you got to get from special people. But no, it's trimming out fuel for whatever reason. So do you have the stock manifold on it, right? Meaning stock 18 truck manifold. If you don't, do you have an 18 Mustang manifold in it or aftermarket manifold? And where is your map sensor located? That's what you have to do. If it's stock and stock cold air and you're trimming out fuel trims, is it still learning flex fuel? Is it a mix of fuel? Did it actually learn what ethanol content is in the tank? There's a lot of questions there that are left unanswered, and we have to kind of, go through that. Chris Valenzuela says, hey, John, I have stock Whipple tune. Compared to your tune, how much could a potential customer look to gain from just changing tunes? 16 GT 29 Whipple stock pulley. So our tune for a Gen 2 Whipple car, let's say manual, with a 3.8 pulley, what can we gain over the Whipple tune? What have you seen gain-wise, horsepower?
The Whipple tune is a CARB certified tune from California, and it's designed around 91 octane. So purely from a standpoint of spark and spark retard, it's going to be a more conservative tune because they have to make the tune comply with those settings. If you're able to run 93 in the car, you're going to
Gonna
pick
make
up a
more
little
power.
power just because we can shove a little bit more timing in it. I think they run their tune just a little bit leaner, so it's a little more emissions friendly.
Okay.
We run ours a little richer, which allows us to run a little more timing. The knock sensor's a little happier, so it picks up maybe 25, 30 horse
Okay.
at the same given boost level.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's about right. So John says at the same boost, you should see about a 20 or so horsepower gain on it based on octane and the fact that we're able to run it a little richer and get more, more out of it in terms of spark, because Whipple's tune has to be, super EPA friendly and meet all those super tight standards. Okay, so someone has a $9 question. Justin Wilson says, just bought an 88 LX notch, still on a 302, installing Holley EFI right now. When I'm done playing with this motor, would you switch to a side from Coyote to make 600 to 800? Yes. This is why. Sergio, a guy I know in Florida, big time into the Ford motor game, pushrod. And I asked him a simple question. What's it take to make 430 rear wheel horsepower, or maybe 440 rear wheel horsepower on a pushrod engine and have it be built so that you can grow with it, meaning you can eventually throw boost at it. So he said, okay, you'll need an aftermarket block. You'll need a good crank, good rods, good pistons, good heads. He goes, you're looking at $6,500. I said, right. Or a Gen 2 Coyote at about $6,500, and you can throw boost at it with fuel and make a 50 wheel easily. And he goes, it's kind of hard to beat the Coyote at this point compared to an engine that you can build, make 400 wheel and grow into it. Now, a lot of people say, stock blocks can make 850. Okay, fine. I just don't want to play Russian roulette like that. So I would always opt for the technologically advanced engine because the prices are getting better. Even the new Gen 2 Mustang engines, Gen 2 truck Mustang engines, also Gen 2 truck engines, sorry, are also pretty available and pretty good in terms of price, and they make good power. They have a little less compression, a little more friendly when it comes to boost. So don't be afraid of that with truck engine, Gen 2 truck engine. Can you set the steering wheel mode in the tune? No. Real quick, no, but I'll read the rest of it. Also, would you date a chick with that farts in your presence? No, absolutely not. Someone that farts in your presence, but I'm not dating him.
Somebody asked me my age earlier. I mean, it kind of coincides with age.
Maybe. You don't care anymore, right? You'll just fart.
Care.
But if I'm dating a girl and but you got to push to get it out.
When you're over 50.
You don't got to push to get it out. It just comes out. It just oozes out.
50, you never trust a fart.
So no, I would not date a chick that farts in front of me. I used to date a girl, my first long-term girlfriend, and we got very comfortable. It was a great relationship, 10 years long, and we were just farting in front of each other all the time after like the 5th year. And then I was like, she's like a friend. She's like a bro, It's like, I don't see her as like this sexual little being anymore. I see her like, hey, your fart sounded pretty disgusting. Check your panties. So I was like, man. So I think it takes the respect out of it, the sexiness factor. I always want to look at my woman as like a sexy woman. So I don't want to do that. Hey, senior, do you still fly often? You could answer that. There you go. He's answering via text. So he'll answer you in the actual chat. Alex, after owning the 19 for a while, are you satisfied with it, or do you wish you would have gotten a Boss or 11 to 12 GT500? Dude, I am making 670 rear wheel horsepower through a manual car with a Vortec on a 3.6 pulley and pump gas. I could not be happier with that 19 Mustang, honestly. It's been very well. And the kit, again, it is not my kit. It is Lund Racing's kit. Once we're done R&D'ing it and everything, and Senior says, I want that kit back, or Alex, hey, would you like to buy it and put it in the red car? We'll talk. Excellent. So real quick, now the GT500, a lot of people are going to probably clip some of the stuff that I said and said that I'm a hater and I'm not making fun of people. Look, I'm just not all for it. It's a pre-production. Every single car that was driven was pre-production, right? Do you think they had actual cars with VINs on them during those tests? I couldn't imagine.
They have VINs.
But are they real VINs? Like, production VINs?
Yeah, because
okay.
I've scouted 2 or 3 pre-production VINs.
Okay, so they're legit cars, you think?
I've crawled under the barbed wire fence and low crawled and taken some pictures. And and I can run the VINs.
Okay.
You know, hey Ford, I can run your VINs, and I can pull files off the server because I have access.
Okay.
IDS and FPRS
got
access,
like service stuff.
Yeah. I'm so sick and tired of the process that you have to go through to get stuff.
Okay.
You know, there's probably some a couple of Ford engineers that I've helped put kids through college just to try to get some files on the backside. And I'm seriously tired of the fact that there's people in this community that think they're so special, they're the only ones that can get stuff.
Right.
And
that's the hard part.
The kiss the ring bullshit that you go through.
I have to pull the mic.
Yeah, you're gonna have. Somebody said they can't hear me. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Exactly.
All that is just, you know, it's BS.
Yeah.
If you know the right people, you can get access, and in some forms you can get access legally.
Right.
So that's what we strive to do.
We're talking about some control pack stuff without giving too much away, because in order for the aftermarket to tune Ford's stuff properly, we need access.
Right.
We need access.
Right.
And if they're not willing to give access, well, guess what? People are going to hate your product.
Right.
They're going to say, I don't want your product.
And are they tuning it?
No, they're not.
No.
They're not providing, you know, tunes for PMAS. They
Right.
can't. They just say, who's going to run a stock airbox in their beautiful 68 Eleanor or 60, whatever it was.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I built an Eleanor Mustang for $100,000. Here's a stock cold air looking out the bitch.
I got an 88 Fox body with a Gen 3 motor and a Gen 3 crate PCM. Am I going to run that freaking black stupid airbox? No, I'm going to put a custom cold air
kit. They can't tune it.
Exactly.
Well, they'll, you know, I just, and then you love the people that don't know shit, and they say, well, if you're real tuners, you tune it. How do you tune it if you don't have anything, access to anything?
Right.
What software? I mean, so
Right.
a lot of people don't understand how it works with tuning. Access is everything. So talking about the VIN on the GT500 and stuff, you said you heard some of them are running hot. Do you think Ford did that on purpose for any reason to run low spark, meaning the cars were idling for a long time and IAT got really hot? Mm-hmm. Do you think Ford did that on purpose to say run it hot so it can just be like a bitch down the drag strip?
Maybe so.
So you think cooled down and good DA, that thing will run a 30 or 40? With like a 1.6, 1.5?
I think so. I think so. And it, you know, Evan Smith is an awesome driver.
Mm-hmm. When there's a stick there.
Yeah, when there's a stick there, you know.
It's an auto, it's all the same shit.
Right. It's, I mean, there may be a little technique involved.
Correct.
And he's got a lot of drag strip.
He's very experienced.
Very experienced.
100%.
He's done, you know, he's been 6-foot wheelies and Cobra jets and everything. So.
And he's actually won like factory stock races and stuff. So yeah, the guy's a legit racer. But I wonder why Ford would do that if they did do that. Why would they let it sit there and get hot?
My guess is they may have a lot of but that car, if it's a pre-production car, is not going down the strip without having tons and tons of data being recorded. They may have a lot of
boxes in the back and shit,
data
to make
boxes and breakout boxes getting data, and if they shut it off, they may have to reset those. They don't want to reset them. That's my guess. I don't know that.
We don't know. Yeah, we don't have that much of an inside information as to what happened that day.
Right.
So we'll just kind of see. But anyway, I'm hoping that the GT500, when it comes out and we get our hands on it, we run low 10 in good weather, maybe a 9, and we'll see what happens. At the event in Vegas, most people ran mid-11s in the GT500. Just a few of us hit 10s. I like how he says us, and I don't know who the hell he is. Michael N. Wright spent some time at the beginning to infantry. Oh, okay, these guys are talking Army talk. There you go, Senior, get in there. Talk Army stuff. Watched an Asian guy rip a 15-second burnout and won, then run a pass. Why the hell would he do that? Why would you do a 15-second burnout on a Pilot Sport 4S? I think that's the tire that's in those cars. How much power can an engine in an 08 GT500 handle comfortably, and how much can it handle max effort? I'd say comfortably 650 to 750 if the octane is there. 850 max, even with cams. I wouldn't bring it out anything more than that because the rods go, see ya. Okay, John Lund answering questions, very nice. Just a few of us, because most were NDMF doing long rev limiter burnouts on street tires. I don't know why. And you know what's funny? I wish Ford would invite someone with an objective view of things. Like in other words, I get it. There's Ford nut riders, and I get it. Some have to write favorable articles, but just like the C8 Corvette was given to some guys that kind of talk shit on it, and I liked it. I listened to. I get it. Some of the problems they were mad about with the C8 Corvette were pre-production car issues, simple little things that happen with pre-production cars. But I like that the fact that they went there. They went there and they said, hey, you know, it has some things that I don't like. Almost everything you hear about the GT500 is as to how awesome it is. No one has said anything negative, like IAT, right? I would love to have someone say, after the burnout, air charge temps were a little high, if they were. Obviously, don't lie, but if they were a little high, say so. We want information because unfortunately, all we hear is positive, and some of us buy it. Not me, because I'm not buying that. And then you go, damn, IATs are kind of high. Well, yeah. It's a PD blower on a 4,200-pound car. I mean, it's going to work a little hard, period. It's just going to work a little hard. Trans temps were around 190. That's not bad. That's not terrible, trans temps, because the 6R80 runs at 160 to 190 depending on your environment. If you're in Florida and it's 95 outside, my trans runs 180 to 195 all day, and that's the 6R80 with badass shit, 800 wheel. So that's about right for that heavy of a car. No experience with Zona turbos. Yeah, those are those mirror turbos that Fat House Fab talks about all the time. And Harvey got a set of those, I guess. Beautiful. Blue Collar Daily says, there definitely won't be a problem with OPG. Those got tested in the burnout box. Haha. Yeah, don't say that, because that's what we thought about S550 Mustang when they came out. We thought they revised those. GT350 and 19 Mustang, 1819 Mustang. They still should be upgraded to billet versions. Does Lund Senior have any experience with on the road? Okay, already got that. Transtemps were on 190. I guess a bunch of people here actually drove it. Now, I wasn't invited. Why? Well, look at the name of my show. It's called Talking Shit. I think the last thing Ford would want is someone that is known for talking shit to test drive their vehicle. Would I have liked to have driven it? Sure, but not for just one day in an event. I want to drive it for a week. I want to turn that car on and see what it's like driving that car in everyday situations in Florida. Don't take me to Vegas where it's dry. Don't take me to somewhere in, Maryland, negative 1,000 DA. Take me somewhere hot. Texas, Florida, Arizona, somewhere hot in hot environments, because guys, that's kind of where a lot of people kind of reside, that have these vehicles. Sure, you're going to have a lot of guys owning them all over the place, but Florida, Texas, California, Arizona, Louisiana, the hot weather states, a lot of the cars are going to end up there, and it has to perform well there. Even though Evan Smith did race it in Bradenton, Bradenton isn't really Florida to me. That's like South Georgia. So the weather is vastly different in Bradenton, Orlando, anything north of Stewart, Port St. Lucie is a little different than South Florida, where it's 88 and up all the time. Someone says, YouTube Corrupt says, you have to lick Ford's nutsack like someone to get that access. That's the other thing I'm not willing to do, because if Ford wants 100% favorable, data or favorable reviews from that car, you're not going to get it from me. What you're going to get is real talk. I'm going to say, it doesn't do this well. It doesn't do that well. It doesn't, because I'm a Mustang guy. I wave the Mustang flag, but I'm also a realist. There are things about my 19 GT I don't love, but there are things about it that I love more than I don't love. Same thing with any Shelby GT500. There are things about it that I love, power, everything, but it cannot outhandle any S550. It has a ton of grunt. Love the trans, love everything, but I drive daily. I want to be able to get in and out of corners. The brakes are better in the S550. Everything, the S550 is a little better, but would I buy an older Shelby? Absolutely. Make 1,000 wheel, build motor deal? Absolutely. Just for the notoriety, the clout, I get it. But daily driver, I know a lot of people are not going to daily drive this Shelby GT500. I understand that, but some people are. And someone like me would probably buy a GT350, like Senior just said, knowing what he knows now. He would buy a GT350 and put a Whipple on it with a T56 and a good clutch, then a Demon, ZR1, or a newer GT500. So that's got to count for something, in my opinion. Rebirth says, oh, they're talking to you, John. Someone says, is 700 rear wheel horsepower possible on 93 and a 1950? Yeah, with cat deletes. Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I wouldn't recommend it. My car might make 700 on the Vortec.
It's possible. Good 93. It really depends on the knock sensor.
Yeah, my knock sensor didn't pull back timing, but it sure as hell didn't add 17.
Right,
It said 13 and a half, 14, you're done at 1.7 load, and it still made 672. So imagine with headers, free flowing exhaust, and some octane booster.
Still have cash on it?
Yeah,
Factory cash.
factory cats. I just pulled the
Nice.
intake pipe off and it made 672. So I was very happy. Mod Motor Ray paid a brother and said, I don't have any questions of this episode, but here's $15. Go throw it at some strippers for me later. What strippers are taking $15? I mean, you're not even going to get a rub and tug. You're not even going to get an over the pants hand job for $15. You need minimum 20 to get into the champagne room and a hundo to get anything else after that. I hear. From experience, I've never done it. K Badro 0306 says 17 Mustang Edelbrock supercharger, 8-rib, 3.0 pulley. Ooh, that's what I have. 3.0 pulley, so it's making a lot of power. 4 triple pump E85 already have 1050X. Are they large enough? 17 Mustang 1050. Ooh, they're close, man. They're close. I would want more headroom because you're probably an 800 wheel. 1050X are pretty good to about high 800s, depending on RPM. ID has a great calculator and a graph that tells you if you plug in your engine specs, RPM, it tells you where your injector is going to run out. So that's probably a good idea to check on the ID website, the little injector, duty cycle graph. It's pretty cool, pretty neat. But with that 3.0 pulley at 800 wheel, I've had FIC 1650s. It might be a little overkill, but I'd rather have more than not enough, in my opinion. 1300s are probably a safe bet if you're already at that power level, but I think you're okay there as long as you stay about 800, 850 wheel. Anything more than that, I'm gonna have to start suggesting more injector, in my opinion. Very good. Anything else popping off?
GT Frank, answer his freaking question. He's like, Spanish.
GT Frank, where's he at?
Frank _50.
Did he pay? Oh, here we go. Alex, you haven't answered my question. Holy shit.
No kidding.
Why does everyone ride PBD? I always try to refer you guys. Look, I'm not going to talk shit on them, but I'm also not going to talk positively about them. I'm just not going to talk about them. Everyone has their fanboys. AED has them. We have ours. They have theirs. So let them ride whatever nuts they want to ride, but you're not going to hear me talking anything about that company for obvious reasons. One day, John, I'm going to ask for the okay. One day. And you'll have to tell me one day. Not today. We can't talk about it today.
Okay.
But one day.
Okay. I was going to talk about our new building.
Okay, let's talk about our new building.
You know, we own it.
I don't want to go down that road. I love you, John. I'm trying to protect us. Man, Jesus. Inside joke. But yeah, one day I'll get the okay to talk about the story of how I came to be. And it'll be the best talking shit episode ever. Trust me. But today is not the day.
No.
It's not the day. So, yeah, I don't know why. But again, everyone is loyal to certain things. Do you know how many people are still loyal to part companies, or engine companies that we know are not great? And people are still loyal. Still running that, being like, hey, that thing's badass. Biscuit loyal. Hey, there are engine companies and part companies that we cannot say anything negative because then we look like we're just, blackballing people. But people ride nuts and they get their ass chafed, and that's what they deserve. That's what you get from riding nuts. Okay, thinking about swapping my 5.4 GT500 motor and my 14 GT. London Chassis Dyno wants to do it. I'm just on the fence about it. What's your thoughts? Thinking about swapping my 5.4 GT in my 14 GT. Oh, I mean, if you got the dough, why not? What's the negative? You're going to have a badass super high torque motor in a GT if you can swing it. And as long as the tuning's on point, we'd have to tune it, depending on who's tuning it. I'm thinking it's us if it's London Chassis Dyno. I don't think it'd be even a problem, but, why don't you just get a Coyote in there? I don't get it. Why don't you just get a built Coyote in there? Probably more cost effective, and the Gen 2 Coyote engine can take a bunch of abuse. So, I don't know. Alex, you are by far more respected, knowledgeable, helpful, and demonstrate integrity in all you do. Screw Ford. No. I'm not saying screw Ford. I am not being adversarial on Ford. I understand why they wouldn't want to invite someone like me, because if something is wrong, I'm going to tell you about it. If something isn't wrong, I'm going to tell you about it. So there are safe people you can invite to certain events, and people that don't, no offense, people that kind of don't matter. They just can say, wow, it was an amazing machine. Whereas I would kind of nitpick it for what, $90,000? $90,000? I would nitpick that car for $90,000. So I'm going to tell you what the deal is for $90,000. 19 GT Edelbrock. Is the Edelbrock 8-rib kit the only option for overdrive and 8-rib with disc blower? I mean, you can get the 8-rib kit, and then the overdrive, I think it's at 18%. So you can get a 20 or 25% ATI 10-rib, and then lay the 8-rib belt in between the two, the 10-rib. You could do that. Now, I think if you talk to someone like Evolution, there's a 10-rib kit available or engineered for like Brian's car, Victor 2. I think it's called the green car, the 19. So Evolution, I think, put a 10-rib in that. But I think if you wanted to just get a bigger overdrive, you can just get an ATI and ride out. That's what I'm going to do. If I do need more boost in the Fairmont, and the 2.5 pulley is too small, I'm going to get a Grip Tech 2.5 pulley in the Fairmont, see what it runs on that. I'm going to see what it runs with a 3.0. Get a 2.5 in there, and if it needs more boost, get a 25% or 20% and party. Very good, very good. Someone says, balls. Does the Gen 3 short block work with a Gen 1 motor? I know they work with Gen 2 motors. Heads will be boosted. The gasket, the head, we were talking about that. The head gasket is the only thing we don't know that it will made up from a Gen 1 head to a Gen 3 short block. So you'll have to get with an engine builder. Someone like a Keith Rea from Lund Racing, he's here this weekend. We're going to hang with him all weekend and C&D Auto Tech and all the other guys there. We're going to pit with them because they've been to this event a bunch of times, so we don't want to look like lost puppies out there. Like, where do we go? Oh, what's happening? So he's an engine builder. He built our engine. He built recently this badass motor for the Blue Goose or the Gray Goose? Or the Cobra, or the... he built this badass engine. If you look at Wonder Racing's post recently, or Keith Rea's post on Facebook, he gives you the rundown on that engine. It is a bad motherfucker. And this guy right here is looking to go well into the sevens, like low sevens. You can spin it to 9,000 RPMs, 12 to 4 compression. 12.4 compression, O-ringed. I mean, butt fucked, raped. It's a badass motherfucker. Yeah. What is it?
Winberg. First certified Coyote Winberg crank.
Winberg crank. Is that like I'm very new to this. Is like a super badass setup?
Right.
Okay.
Just
Okay.
billet
Perfect.
Crank, yeah.
So billet crank. Badass shit. So 50 pounds of boost? He's like, may not need it. I like it. Come on, tell us how you really feel about VMP. I like VMP. I have no issues with the company. I left on very good terms. I'm still friends with many of the people there. The video person's still very, very friendly with people there. I have no issues there. I know you guys might think I have an issue.
Free-ported Gen 3R.
Exactly. They provided a Gen 3R to seniors GT500. If they hated me, I think they probably wouldn't, give my employer anything to rep. So we have a very good relationship. So if you guys think there's something bad there just really isn't. Okay, the one says 18 bullet. Where is it? The 999 question. No. Okay, looks like this thing is laggy. Like when I scroll, it's super laggy. Hey John, can I get my old OBD2 monitors to go green with twin turbos and O2 spacers? You can answer that one if you want. Mod Motor on the Mafia says, what RPM does John rev his build GT500 to, and what bore size is it? Also, what RPM should you worry about piston speed with that long of a stroke? What the hell did he just say? He revved this car to 8,000 RPMs, dude, and on the dyno. Now, I don't think he does that on the street. Maybe he'd pull the stick at 74, 7,500, right? And the bore is stock bore? Yeah. Stock. What is it? Is it 4? Whatever 5/8. He said it's a stock bore. Randy said, I'm an old guy. How do I pay? Bought a used 14 GT Boss intake, long tubes, came with SCT handle, 10 tunes in it, unmarried. How can I tell if the device is for my car? It will check status. I think there's a status section in the SCT, and it'll ask if it's married or not. And it should show a VIN, right? It should show a VIN that it's married to. Yeah, so if it's your VIN, it's married to your car. So check under status, I believe, device status or vehicle status. It'll say married, and if it says married, it'll say what VIN it's married to. And if it's your VIN, it's married to your car. Big shout out to Lund Racing. You guys rock as tuners, best in the business. 16 Mustang GT is a monster. Thanks. Thank you, Daily Driven Mustang 863. What do you think about blah, blah, blah lifestyles, clapped out GT500? I think, okay, I'll answer this question. I think it was a car that was bought for clickbait. It wasn't a car that was needed. I think the guy's Cobra got more play because Cobras have a super cult following still. And Trinity GT500s aren't there yet in terms of the cult following. So I think it was bought as clickbait, and he's getting dragged by Hellcats all over the place. So there's that. Sorry that he's losing, but he's doing something about it, and he's working with VMP to get him more power. He might need a driver mod because homeboy can't drive for shit. So he needs to do that first. I'm currently tuned by you guys using the SETX4. If I buy an N-Gauge, will I have to pay to get the tune switched over to a new device? If you buy a device from us, we will get the tunes switched over to you. To buy a device from us, hit us up in the ticket. We'll get the tunes switched over so you can flash it with your N-Gauge. Someone put the money symbol $9.99. We need a funny dating story from Senior. No, Senior has been married for a very long time to one wonderful woman named Cheryl Lund. So there are no dating stories. He's a happily married man. NA Coyote stock throttle is fine. So okay, good. That's you. I agree, but I wanted to hear Lund had to say about it. What would the 2020 GT500 run with sticky tires? We think a 10.3, right? In good air, we think a 10.3 in good air. That's quick. Now, if the trans doesn't decide to do that lazy shifting, I think a 10.3 is possible, and especially a non-performance pack like a base GT500.
Oh yeah.
A base GT500 light.
Be a white one.
A white.
We got one.
You got a white.
White base, no stripes.
White base, no stripes.
Yeah.
I like it. See, a white base, no stripe. That's what we ordered. White base GT500, 355s, 273s. Do we know? 55s might be good, depending on the starting line.
You can choose.
Yeah, I think.
I didn't have a choice.
You didn't have a choice?
No, I think it was 373s.
I wonder what the performance pack has over the base in terms of rear gear. Does it have a better diff?
I don't ever remember in the sequence.
It didn't show?
It didn't show it.
Wow. So we got a white D-striped base. So a base GT500 with sticky tires in good air and maybe good fuel might run a badass number. Do not be surprised if with a stock calibration, the thing breaks nines with weight reduction. Weight reduction, a sticky tire, MS109, let the knock sensor be happy as fuck, and really good air, like negative DA. It might, you never know. It all depends on the weight and how sticky and if the tire doesn't explode, if the transmission doesn't explode. He says both cars have 373 torsion. There you go. Okay. Not a fan of the torsion for drag racing, but it is what it is. What are you going to do? Can Lund tune on an SETX4? Yes, Yomar. Did you get the snack pack GT500, meaning the fat one? No. We got the base model. So it's the lean and mean model. Right. Loving the tune I got from y'all in the cooler weather. The cold start and torque down low is insane compared to stock. I'm happy. Those are drool marks, I think. He's drooling. Alex or Lund, or Senior, London Chassis Dyno is wanting to swap a 5.4 motor in my 4GT. I'm on the fence. I already answered that question. If you can swing it, go for it. I personally would put a Gen 2 Mustang motor, Coyote, in there. Stock PCM. You don't have to mess with the harnesses. You don't have to mess with anything. Just Gen 2 Mustang motor. Let's say Gen 2 short block. Your Gen 1 heads. Right out. You'll be happy, in my opinion. Torsen isn't going to be the best for the strip, though. Exactly. Thanks, Ford Master. What's a good Hoosier for 2013? So the QTP is my favorite tire for the Hoosier QuickTime Pro. The size is really up to you and how much you want it to grip. In my opinion, it's the best tire for the least amount of prep out there. The Mickey Thompson Stiffwall still needs decent prep, but not radial prep. But the QTP seems to need the least amount of prep and still has a ton of hook. Alejandro Flores, what are you benching nowadays, bruh? So 3 plates are starting to become pretty normal, but I'm getting older. My joints are hurting, so I don't do it often. So I usually, if I just want to do a PR day, I go out there, I warm up, and then I just put 3 plates on the bitch and try to get it up once, maybe twice. But I don't have a spotter at the gym, so I can't do it. If this week we get a chance, I'll give it a shot. If I can record it in video, that's great, but I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen this week because I did chest 2 days ago and I'm still sore as fuck. Yeah, it's impressive but in the world that we live in, it's not. we see guys pump up 4 or 5 and we're like, oh, that's impressive. But yeah, 3 plates, it's all relative, right? We've been working out for a while. Senior can still do pull-ups, better pull-ups than me. He does the full extension army style shit, and he gets on my case because I do those shorty ones,
Senior's lucky to lift a 45.
But I'm gonna attempt a 315 or 303 plates. I think it's 315. 1, 2, 3 to 225 plus 90. So 315. Yeah, 315. John Lund, what did you do in the Army?
I flew helicopters.
So tell them what you did in the Army.
I was a medevac pilot, commonly known as a dust-off pilot, Medical Service Corps, 22 years. Went in as a second lieutenant, retired as a lieutenant colonel.
Very good. Now, how many ranks is that, like, from where you started? How many?
5 ranks.
5 ranks?
Yeah.
And how long were you active? 4 years or 8?
I was active for almost 10 years and then guard and reserve for about 12 years.
Oh, wow.
Which garnishes your retirement. I don't draw that retirement till age 60, which comes up in 4.5 years. Do the math.
So, did you serve in any war?
I was in Desert Storm in 1991 as a first lieutenant captain.
Wow, so there you go.
Long time ago.
Army vet, Desert Storm vet. So there you go. You guys got Flew Hueys. Damn, them shit still in service, or did they finally say, "Hey, man, you're done"?
Retired a long time ago.
Oh, okay, gotcha. They all say thanks for your service. Badass. What? Very nice. Can you run E98 on a full bolt-on 19 GT? Will it make more power? Maybe. E98. I mean, a lot of people do this crazy thing where they think more ethanol makes more power, but if you have like E85 or C85, the 15% isn't junk anymore as opposed to pump. I don't think you're going to make significant gains on E98 than E85. Will it make more power? Yeah, maybe 2 or 3 more horse. I don't think it'll let you use 4 or 5 more degrees of timing. It'll probably see 31.5 tops. And that's where it really makes more, because anything after that is like diminishing gains. The more timing you see after like 30, it makes less and less horsepower. But it looks cool on the data log, What's wrong with the Roush supercharger? Nothing. Nothing is wrong. Oh, you mean, okay, the Gen 3, the 18 and up supercharger is a dud. I'm sorry. The intercooler design is very inefficient. So that, in conjunction with their small heat exchanger, if you know what the difference between both are, I'm not going to explain it. And no fans on the heat exchanger. So the moment you make a pull, inlet air temps or blower air temps are very high, 140 and up, and stay up there. They don't really come down quickly. Whereas the older unit, the rear feed unit, had a more area. It was a little wider in the terms of intercooler, and it was more forgiving when it came to IATs. Gen 3, to me, the Gen 3 or whatever, the 2650 Roush blower to me is just a dud, and it's a non-starter. And I think even Roush knew this because they limited throttle based on inlet air temps. So if your inlet air temps are high, they limit throttle because they know it gets too hot. Chris Arnold said, at John Lund serving, thank you too, buddy. Witness dust-off pilots literally saved lives in my time. Very nice. Very nice.
Buddy thinks I'm 45 at most.
Wow, his maths, wow, Jesus, he wants that free Tune for Life program. Can you run E98 full bolt on? Steve, stop asking the question 15 times. You can run E98. I just don't think you'll make that much more power with E98 over E85. John Senior, 308 or 6.5 Creedmoor?
308.
308, he says. I think he asked it. No, he didn't answer it. Thank you, Senior. Good luck this race outing. Very good. ATA dampener on a bolt-on car. Plans for boost later. 92 Fox Coyote swap. Go for it. If you're planning for boost later, why not? I don't think it's going to hurt anything. Have you heard of Ortiz Performance, and what is your thoughts? Now, understand this, guys. We're tuners. It's like asking Burger King how good McDonald's is. It's like but we're not McDonald's. We're Ruth Chris Steakhouse and asking how Longhorn steak is. You're asking how competitors are. We don't really want to go there. We've heard of Ortiz. I think Dakota is friends with them. I think Dakota has a friendly relationship with them. They tune a lot of EcoBoost stuff, and I have not heard anything negative about them. That's what I can tell you. But I personally don't know the guy, and I've never gotten tuned by him. So, look into it, But I have heard of him, but I haven't heard anything bad about the guy. All right, I got something. What should be avoided when using an RXT on my stock MT82? It's going to get a caliper. It's going to get cams and 350 heads, and here's $10 more. You got 25 now, maybe she'll blow on it. I don't think you should run an RXT on an MT82 with stock gears. If you want to run an RXT on a Ben Calimer Stage 3 or a TR6060, absolutely all day, every day. The RXT has very aggressive clutch material, so it will. There is no fuse, right? You need a fuse, something that will take the shock away. And the RXT does not do that well. The RST does. The Mantic sprung hub does also. I mean, not because it's sprung hub, but it's less of a shock on the trans and the gears, because the gears are the weak link on stock MT82s, aside from the shift pads and all that other bullshit. Okay. Tune for the sound tube. So did you know there's a Wii mod? Do you know what a Wii mod is?
I do not.
So a Wii mod is, oh jeez, it's gonna fall over. So a Wii mod is people are out there putting holes in their cold air, right? And putting the sound tube into the engine bay so they can hear the supercharger whine. So if you have a Whipple closed air, they drill a hole in it and run that fucking tube into the engine bay so they can hear the wheep. Then what happens when they remove that tube, or the tube comes loose or something, and air gets into a pressurized box, and they go, hey, it's having stalling issues. So there is such thing called a Wii mod out
Wow.
there. You didn't know about that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, we hear about that. And we're like, who the fuck did that? And you
So-
know who it was? Some YouTuber.
Is this tube going in
To the engine,
before the MAF?
No, so the tube goes into the air box. So let's say your shield,
Okay.
they cut a hole in the shield. They put a tube in it,
Yeah.
and they run that tube into the cabin, so
Yeah.
you can hear everything that's going on. The filter sucking, the whooshing, all that bullshit. The Wii mod.
Wow.
Or the blower whine mod or some shit.
Right.
Some YouTuber started. Then some guy took it out because he thought it was stupid, and they left a hole in it, and the car would stall, come into the light, and I said, why don't you plug the hole? Fixed.
Yeah.
Fuck me.
Yeah.
That's a nightmare.
Super Snake Hood, 07 to 10.
Super Snake Hood did the same thing?
Why is my Kenny Bell stall? Super Snakes then came with Kenny Bell, some with Whipples.
Right.
Stall. Open the hood. 4, 5, 6 big holes right underneath the air filter.
Oh,
Turbulent air, boop, stall.
right.
They actually made a foam rubber block off that was
For the hood?
inside. Inside, you couldn't see it. Yeah.
I love that because people overthink things. I was telling them that a certain hood manufacturer 3 years ago said, I put our Ram Air hood on and the thing stalls, man. It wigs out. I'm like, Ram Air? What's? He goes, it's a blown car, a Roush blower car. So they took the lid off, incorporated the hood, sealed, and it had a Ram Air system.
Right.
I'm like, you're pressurizing the box when the throttle is shut.
Right.
And the thing's like, it's just wigging out. And he's
Right.
like, so it's no good? I go, no. He goes, what should I do? I go, get rid of the
Right.
Ram Air system. But they built the hood for
Or
that.
Yeah.
Mind blown. So they wonder why things stall, and they wonder why Ford closes the air box.
Speaking of Super Snakes, when I was in Alpine, Texas, there was a Super Snake owner that came down from Dallas area. Over 100,000 miles.
Wow, he
on a
drove
Super
it.
Snake with a 3.6 KB.
Holy shit. Oh,
Yeah,
badass.
impressive. Yeah.
Jesus. A Super Snake that someone actually drives. Someone here said he's about to buy my old car. Holy shit. Paul Monaco. Hey, Alex, I'm about to buy your old 2011. I watched all your old videos on it, but anything else should I know? I've already had a 700 plus rear wheel horsepower 2015 MT82 car. That car has stock oil pump gears. The rear end, hopefully it's been built because at Mod Nats I blew it up and it was making a bunch of whining noise. So hopefully it's been built since then. But if I were you, I'd do, preventive maintenance to me to that car would be a Gen 2 short block. Honestly, I would put a Gen 2 short block on it. It has had 115,000 pretty aggressive. Look, I raced it. It went 10-1. it's on borrowed time, in my opinion. That short block is on borrowed time. I'm not saying it's bad, broken, or not worth buying. I'm saying to keep it alive longer, I would definitely look into freshening it up or buying a Gen 2 short block in it. I wouldn't recommend you racing that high mile Coyote, even though it was mine and I did my best to keep it alive and keep it good because it's still pretty damn good. I'd love to buy it back, but not at the price they're asking. It's a 115,000 mile boosted car should be about $15,000 to $18,000. Not trying to cock block on the sale price, but it is my old car, so it is kind of popular. So I might sign it for you. It'd be worth some more money someday. It might be the new Carroll Shelby. Who knows? Yeah, right. But yeah, I would freshen it up, man. Alex, when logging third gear watt on my bolt-on 1815 Coyote, the converter flared a couple hundred RPM, 25 to 2770, pulled back to 2500, then went. Definitely no wheel spin. Someone else is tuning it. Anything to worry about? I would get with your tuner. But the converter does have a little, slack in it. So it might go wah and come back down. Or I don't think the stock converter flashes that high. So get with VMP, let them review the log. I love you. I really would love to, make sure, but I don't want to step on anyone's toes. I don't know how they're tuning the car or the truck. So I would get with them, but I don't think the converter flashes that high and then come back down to 2500. It could, because it's a 10R80, but I haven't heard it doing that usually, especially if it's in sport mode. If someone said it had a taurine tune. It's a Circle D 245C converter, good to spray 150 shot out of the hole on a full weight, full bolt-on S197? No. I would spray after 4,000 RPMs, not out of the hole. That to me means instant, and that means, No, I would launch the car, and just after it hits about 4,200 RPM or so, you have a controller, get the nitrous to kick in, and you'll be a happy guy. Out of the hole, that just doesn't exist to me. Nitrous out of the hole. If you ever seen a nitrous car launch, you don't see blue flames right off the bat. It launches, then the blue flames come out, then red flames, and then it explodes. Because that's what nitrous cars do. Ryan Wright says, thanks for answering my question after hours. Lund for the win. Oh, nice. Someone actually went into the ticket system. Was that you?
That was the other night. That was our conversation on F-150 harness.
Oh, that was him.
Ryan Wright, yeah.
Awesome. Ryan Wright. Awesome. Well, yeah, we had a very lively debate about your setup, and I think we came to the conclusion that we're both right. I was wrong about one thing. He wasn't wrong. He was just wondering if he was wrong. I was wrong. Then
just old and forgot.
Yeah. Exactly.
Alex helped me to remember.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. It was about firing order stuff. It was a pretty interesting conversation. Hey, base 1985 catback and intake. It has 373. Gear swap, good idea. Hey, base 1985 catback and intake. Is a 373 gear a good idea? If it's manual, yes. If it's auto, no. Did any of you got caught racing? Ruslan says. Did you ever get caught racing? Like arrested or something?
I have not been arrested, but I've been to defense driving school several times.
Really?
All the cops in my local town of Plainfield, Indiana knew me by first name. They also knew my dad, so they knew who to go to. Probably the worst race I ever got in was, you got to understand, all my racing was in carburetor days. If you were running 13s, low 13s and something, you were badass, you were fast. Yeah. My dad had a 77 F-150 pickup truck with a 385 series. Does anybody know what that is? 460 big block.
Nobody knows that. I might, but.
And it had a few mods done to it. For a pickup truck, it was pretty fast. Had top end, but it could spin the tires and whatnot. But I ended up tearing up the transmission in it, and it would only go in reverse.
C4? C6.
C6.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to tell my dad. He was a Ford mechanic, a Paul Harvey Ford, for 42 years. So I drove the truck home in reverse about 3 miles and parked it, backed it into the spot in reverse, which was opposite of what I normally would nose in. So the next day,
something was up. Like, what the hell?
The next day, I had to explain to Pop what I did, and that was it was 16, and that was the first time I pulled a transmission. He told me to get the transmission out so we could rebuild it.
That's a big motherfucker, man. That's a big trans.
Yeah, my brother helped me.
Shit.
Older brother helped me.
Did you have to jack it up or just on?
No, I was laying on freaking rock driveway.
Oh my god.
Yank that C6 out. Yeah.
Peyton Pruitt asks about a bullet. It says 19 bullet with a Paxton 2200, which is basically kind of what I have right now. Kit running 385 pulley, so you have a pulley bigger than I do. 91 pump, so you have shittier gas than I do. I'm going to run the open head unit with a filter. What horsepower numbers are you guys seeing with that setup? So based on experience, 620 to 630. So you're going to be down about, with that pulley size and that octane, you be in the low 600s with an open head unit, 91 octane, 385 pulley.
But it's got a GT350 intake.
It does.
And a bigger throttle.
See, that's why he's here.
Could make a little bit more.
You don't be surprised if it makes closer to 650 with that setup, because he just reminded me that it has a GT350 intake and throttle body, so it might make more power. Very good. Did any of you get caught racing? No. Okay, I think that's it. Someone says Alex logging in third gear. Did that already, and says I vote for more senior. What? I vote for more. God damn it, this thing goes. I vote for more senior racing breaking stories. Yeah, seniors got some funny stories. If you get him down, sit him down for dinner, he'll talk about the old racing days. And we're older than anyone else in the group, so I raced carbureted stuff when I was 17, 18, 19 years old. I only got into the Coyote stuff in 2011. I bypassed all that 2-valve garbage. He had Lightnings, Cobras. He had the Maverick. The Maverick was his, so we'll see what happens with that. You had a big, long-ass Mustang, right? Didn't you have like
long nose, 71 to 73 long nose. I had a 72 Sprint.
The fuck is that?
In 72, Ford built a bunch of white fastback and coupe Mustangs. They put a blue stripe along the bottom panel and a red pinstripe and a USA badge on the back and called them Sprints.
Were they only sold in a certain part of the country?
No, they were sold nationwide. They also had Maverick Sprints. And they made 50 convertible Mustang 72 Sprints for Cherry Blossom Parade in Washington, D.C. Very rare cars. I happened to get one. It was my first V8, had a 351 Cleveland 2-barrel, and within 90 days of owning the car, 4-barrel heads, long tube headers, cam, Holly, Offenhauser intake.
Holly carburetor, not Holly EFI. Holly carburetor, guys.
Holly carburetor, yeah.
Because then now you say Holly EFI was in the 60s?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So here we go.
That's what I grew up with, that type of stuff. That car got wrecked.
How did it get wrecked?
Got T-boned right after I went in the Army. Fresh paint job, restored it back to the original, pulling out
What year did you own it?
I owned it in college, 83, 84, 85.
And it was a 60...
It was 72.
72, got it.
And then I kind of, into the Army, got a little money, even though I was married and I was broke and had a kid. And I'm in flight school trying to learn how to fly a helicopter. I'm turning wrenches. That car got wrecked and totaled, but I had a lot of money in the motor.
Okay.
So I was out flying, doing training down at Fort Rucker, Alabama, and my instructor pilot at that time, this is in '86, was a gearhead. And he knew I was scouting another Mustang. And we flew over this one low-level route, and he sees the nose of a Mustang hanging out of a barn. We mark it on the map, get back later, I figure out the address from the map, I go to this place, and it's a 67 coupe, 289 3-speed. Hadn't started in 6 or 7 years. Pretty good shape. Offer the old man $700-800. Takes it. I put a battery in it. Put new fresh points in it. You know what points are?
They don't know what points are.
Points are
Dude,
on the distributor.
they'd laugh. They're like, cars ran on this?
I get the car running. I get it back to my one stall garage rental house of $300 in Ozark, Alabama, and I commenced to pulling the motor, and I shoehorned the 351 Cleveland into that 67, traded off some parts for a 4-speed top loader, 411 gears, 4-speed close ratio.
That must have been badass. That must have felt good.
It had bias ply McCreary drag radials on the back of it on police rims.
Weren't there like circle track tires?
Yeah, but they hooked. They hooked. The car had a top speed of about 115, but I could get
there fast.
I could bang all 4 gears spinning the tires and get there.
Oh, wow.
It was a fun car.
To this day, you get a car like that, you're like, that's fun.
Yeah.
I get it. We have these 1,000 horsepower things that are available, but when you get a very mechanical car like that, it changes you. It kind of changes your opinion on cars altogether. Yeah. Makes you appreciate it a little more.
It does.
For you guys that don't build shit. Alpha Matter says, 2011 GT, any thoughts on the Edelbrock E-Force? I already answered this question many times. Have you guys tuned any? Thinking of getting one since it's smog legal and I live in California. So if you have a Edelbrock E-Force and you can get the tune that comes with it, because I'm sure they have a CARB EO certification and you live in California, that's the way to go. If you want us to tune it, you know, we might have to have a little conversation. But if you want to maintain everything as the state wants it to be in terms of legality, I would run their tune just to make sure everything is kosher and good. We'll be happy to tune it, but we're going to have a little bit of a conversation before that. What do you mean? Hit us up at support@lundracing.com and we'll talk there. Not here. Making sure I didn't miss anybody. Good. Everyone seems to be pretty good. I didn't miss anyone. There's a $5 question I got. That was the Edelbrock guy. And there was a $2 comment. Here it is. Here's to 5th gear pulls at 1,500 RPMs in 1,200 horsepower cars. So, Beards in Cars. Let me tell people why Beards in Cars says that. I was going to leave it alone. But Beards in Cars hit me up. We're tuning him. And he said, Alex, when I go wide open throttle at 2,000 RPM or 2,500 RPM in 5th gear, the car does a weird shudder and shake. So he's 5th gear in a Kenny Bell supercharged car, whacks it, and he wonders why it goes. So what happens when a Kenny Bell 3.2 car, when you go what in 5th gear at 2,500 RPM? Like what happens? It probably sees high load, low spark, right? Mm-hmm. So he was asking why did it do that, and I'm like, why are you doing that? Exactly. Like why are you going what? He goes, well, I don't know, I did it one time and I thought it was a problem, so I logged it, and I wanted you to see the log to see if there's an issue. And I'm like, I don't see any issue except you're going way into boost and way low of an RPM. So you know what I did? High load, low spark, took spark away. It wasn't even commanded high. I took like 2 and blended it, and he goes, oh, I got better. I'm like, ain't that some shit? So he was trying to go into boost at very low RPM and high load.
I had that GT350 in Alpine.
Okay.
A couple times we're high speed. I'm in 6th gear running 130, 135. Instead of downshifting from 6th to 5th, I would stomp it and it would go into boost, but my RPM's low because of the gearing in the car.
Right.
And guess what would happen? It sounded like I'd have a 2-step.
Oh, really?
I glanced up once at the N-gauge. I'm negative 2 degrees spark.
Wow.
Because down in that below 2,000, that lower spark, high load, it's down low.
There are people that seem to think that they should be able to floor it in 6th gear, 1,500 RPM to pass somebody. Not give it a little gas. Floor it.
No.
Open the throttle at 85 degrees. I'm like, why? So then I have to go in there and, why is it seeing negative spark? So it doesn't explode, right? So the rods don't chuck off the bitch. But there are literally people in the ticket system that say, well, when I pass someone, I want you to be able to floor it and pass someone. You don't have to floor it. It's kind of, especially it's a boosted car. Right. It'll just go. Right. My Paxton car, or Vortec car, 6th gear, 2,000 RPM, 2,100, I could just give it a little cat, and you feel that push, that hand of God push. I'm like, there it is. I don't floor it to pass people, but some people just don't care. They do it. All right, we're going to get close to ending it real quick. At about an hour and a half or so, I start to kind of give you guys the warning, the 5-minute warning that I'm going to be leaving soon, and that's when you guys start to go a little apeshit when it comes to questions. So, again, wish us luck. We're going to be here all week. We're going to try to update everything, give you guys videos. If the Blue Goose runs at 750, you will know it. Tomorrow will be the first day we're actually going to make licks on the new setup. We're going to do a 20 PSI hit, see how that goes, which we call low boost. 20 PSI should run well into the 8s, no problem. And then we're just going to go right into the 30s maybe, or high 20s, and see if we can get into the 7s comfortably. And then turn it up, look at the log, make sure it's happy. Get with Junior, because Junior's tuning it remotely until he gets here Thursday for qualifying and, into Friday. And that's when we're really going to, but if it runs the number we think it can run, you guys will know it before anyone else. So hopefully we get it done quickly, and then we can just concentrate on going rounds the next time. But hopefully those tires hold up. Hopefully everything just works as it should, because we haven't really changed much except injector and cooling. But suspension's the same and tire size. Yes. Everything else same. Same trans that was in, that's been in forever.
767, yeah.
We did get a spare, so we have a spare trans, but not for this event. It's for Mod Nats, just in case anything happens to it, but we'll have it on hand. Keith has an engine or can get us an engine if anything happens. He's very animated. He's like, I will replace that motor if it blows up and the trans. Let's do it. And I'm like, oh my God.
He's young. He has lots of energy.
I'll help. I'll hand you the wrench. I am not doing all that bullshit. Someone said thoughts on SET Pro Racer versus HP tuning software for personal use. Both. I think Pro Racer is a little more. It depends on what your eyes go to and how they. Some people like HP tuner software because it's easy on the eyes. To me, SET is easier because I'm used to it. But I think both are very good and both very capable softwares. I don't think there's one advantage over the other. I think both do similar things very well, as long as you can learn how to use the software and how much of a learning curve it is. That's what I'd go with. But a lot of people do like HP because it looks good and it's pretty easy to read and the descriptions are pretty accurate as to what you're doing in the tune. Okay, so date story from Senior to end it. No, Senior has been married for how many years?
34 years in May.
34 years to his high school girlfriend or yes, high school sweetheart. So there is no dating stories today. We're going to end it there. I'll try to update as much as possible on Instagram, on Facebook, everywhere. We're going to call it today. It's been an hour and 40 minutes. Got a lot talked about today. We'll see you next week, and we'll let you know what happens here at Imports versus Domestic. Watch the live stream. You'll see us on the live stream on, I think, I forget who, but just go to the Imports versus Domestic. I'm sure they tell you where exactly it's going to be aired, and you might see us live make a run down the track. And if it's a world record-setting run, meaning anything quicker than a 767, we'll just reset our own record and see how it goes. Thanks for listening. Thanks for hanging out.